Hey there, toy collector friends and Transformers fans alike, particularly fans of the Hasbro Haslab collections. Here I am, the Triple TT, that's the time travelling toy collector, with my final instalment on the Omega Prime set. Now, this was a set that when it first came out was pretty much beleaguered, I think is the best word I can come up with here. Beleaguered with issues across far too many people who received it. The most notable issue was the Optimus Prime had cracks and had some of the lubricant leaking out, and or if it didn't have cracks, it cracked when it was being transformed. Similarly, some of the Ultra Magnuses that were out there, their white, very icy white aspects of their plastic were already yellowing, which is not something you want ever, but definitely isn't something you want as you're taking something out of the box. So across the piece, this set was a little bit I don't want to say cursed, but it had a lot to make up for. And when I first got mine, I won't lie, I was quite concerned that it was going to be one of those that was, you know, damaged by circumstances. And I can't tell you the amount of relief that I actually had when I discovered that it wasn't. And it was actually, you know, everything, touch wood, everything was working perfectly. And as you'll have seen, if you've been following the videos, I did an overall unboxing. I did an Optimus Prime. I did Blue Bolts in all of her glory, heavily underrated figure in my opinion. I think she's fantastic. And I did Ultra Magnus most recently. And again, three varying different characters with different levels of interest. I must admit, my interest in the whole figure set was limited when I first saw the Haslab announced. And I think in this instance, if it wasn't for my FOMO, I'll be perfectly honest, if it wasn't for my FOMO and also a bit for some of my looking into the cartoon figure and seeing how it interacted and stuff, I probably would have let it go. And again, I have to say, I can understand why people did, and they probably breathed a sigh of relief after all the, you know, Omega Prime Gate stuff started coming to life. But I have to say, I am so pleased that I didn't let it go. I am so pleased that I picked it up. I think they are, it's a fantastic set. I am blessed with the fact that, as I say, touch wood, none of mine are damaged. And I'm going to be very gentle and careful and keep it that way as far as I humanly can. We're at that point now where I can do a sort of final sort of summary of the three figures, and then also do that final transformation, which combines Optimus and Ultra Magnus, supported by undoubtedly Blue Bolts, into the amazing Omega Prime figure, which I have yet to create and convert. So we'll start off with the smallest member of the group. Well, technically the smallest member of the group. The real smallest member of the group was Cerebros, but we won't bother with Cerebros for this. Blue Bolt was fantastic, a weaponizer in the truest sense of the word. Really great. Added value in that she can detach and fill in some of the spaces within Ultra Magnus's body, which are a little bit hollow, and you know that's true to the original, but it's a solution that this figure provides if you want to use it to do that. Otherwise you can just use it as a figure in her own right. She has a lovely head sculpt, nice articulation in robot mode. Sometimes can be a bit fiddly trying to get her to attach to robot mode Ultra Magnus, but there are ways and means you can do that. Yeah, all in all, really nice figure. And if you haven't seen the video which looks at her in a significantly more depth than I'm giving her now, then it might be a good time to go and see that in the Haslab playlist for Omega Prime. So Blue Bolts, we thank you, we salute you, and we shall now pop you over here ready for the final transformation. Next up, we will look at Ultra Magnus. And as you can see, I hope you can see, let me just pop Optimus over here. I have actually, let me pull out slightly. Apologies if it makes the focus go a bit weird. I've used the display base for Ultra Magnus, so half of the road, the road space bridge converts. Oh, well, that was handy because I was just going to do that anyway to show you how it did it. But you have this attachment which connects into there, and then you can plug both ports into the 2 ports, if you can see them here, in Ultra Magnus's crutch. How charming. Ultra Magnus, all the legs for Ultra Magnus, very posable. They've given him, for this iteration, again, I wasn't around for the first one, but they gave him extra feet to make him more stable, because that was not a feature, as I understand it, of the original Ultra Magnus. He has a really lovely, it's quite hard to get him into shot for this now because of just how large he is, but he has a really lovely head sculpt with that gold insignia. The vac metal rocks in this set, it really does. If you want to see him a bit more up close and personal, then my advice would be go and check out the Ultra Magnus playlist. He has all of the articulation you would expect him to have. I don't know whether we would call him a commander class or a leader class. He is hefty. I think I've done it so far, so I'll do it again for the here and the now, but just so people can see, just so you know, if you're only just watching this video, here he is next to commander class Rodimus Prime, so you can see how that works. And additionally to that, here he is with the leader class, I think it is, Optimus Prime, might be a Voyager class, Optimus Prime from Rise of the Beasts. So barely comes up to his waist. So that'll give you a sense of, I hope, a sense of scale and size for this gigantic Ultra Magnus. And again, he does have a bit of a backpack with a rocket pack there, no less. He has the gaps that I've already referred to, but you can use blue bolts to tackle that if you so wished. He can stand perfectly well on the base. He can stand perfectly well, period, to be honest. But it's nice that they have that option that you can actually have him secured on that stand in case you wished, and why wouldn't you, to do anything dynamic with his posing. Talking of dynamic, let's move on to Optimus Prime, who in this mode is the smaller of the 2 of them, but we do know that he also has a super mode. Again, you can see I've attached him, he's levitating in excitement. I've attached him to the stand in this mode, along with his pistol. That wonderful head sculpt. I am, however, for the purposes of having him in hand, just going to detach him. He's quite straightforward. He just plugs into the butt, so Optimus's butt plug in full swing. Very articulate, wonderful head sculpt. Again, not a figure like none of them in this set really. Were they in fact figures that I would hand on heart say I had any real attachment to outside of this set. And I really thought, you know, I'm getting it, I'm going to have some fun displaying it and playing with it. I think I've mentioned it in a couple of other videos. This Optimus Prime particularly, but the set overall is perhaps one of the things I've messed with the most of all the recent Transformers. Honestly, oh, I've just folded this foot in accidentally. Sorry about that, Optimus. There's so much playability. There's so much posability. The ratchets are so great. You know, the articulate. I have to do a slight manoeuvring there, but yeah, the articulation is great. Again, I'm living in great joy that hasn't caused me any problems. The throwback to the original, which of course I never had. But I am aware of what what it was, and I've just realised that these are still down. That's naughty of me. They should be up. They can't compete with Ultra Magnus's wings, but hey ho, it's not about how big your wings are, it's about how proud you are to display them. But yeah, so Optimus, really wonderful figure. And as I say, I've messed with him so much, and his battle mode, and I've even included done one of the first videos in my battle base series was again revisiting his battle base, which of course I've now popped back into fire truck mode for convenience sake. I would also just point out, for those who are missing him, there's Cerebros in his little chair there, having the best time and living his best life. So we'll just get rid of that because there's no use for that today in this particular video. So I really love this. I'd love to know, some people have commented before and some people have reached out to me on Instagram to share their experiences. I would love to know, did you pick this up and were you someone who did not have any of the issues? Let me know in the comments down below. I do wonder, I don't know if this is the case or not. I've not heard anything in any direction around this, but it seems to be, but I don't know, as I say, whether or not the UK releases were a later batch and it had already been fixed, because it seems like no sooner was it coming out in the UK than maybe a couple of weeks later they were releasing the email saying they were sending out the new versions of the figures to people who'd been affected. So I do wonder whether they'd done a rapid remodeling or a remaking of this figure to include it in the additional international sales. I don't know. I just wondered. That's why I'm reaching out to find out if anyone has long since had the issues they've had, and also if they've received the new version. Was it just the cab? Was it the whole? Was it the whole Optimus, including the fire engine set? What did you get, if you got anything? So these are the component parts, and I've loved them. I've loved messing with them. I've loved everything about them. They've been fantastic. I'm just gonna pop this gun out of here for a second, because as I'm sure you're aware, I'm probably going to mess this up. And they're sort of the wrong side as well, aren't they, if I remember rightly from the cartoon. So I'm just going to try and do some, thank goodness for these stands, whoosh. So the two of them are supposed to combine, and this combination starts a very certain way. And if I recall correctly, the actual way it starts is by Optimus and Fortress Maximus, and Ultra Magnus, that's how big he is, Ultra Magnus shaking hands. And I love that, because this is obviously an iconic element within the series that these figures represent. I love that Hasbro built this in to the actual combination plan. I think that it is lovely. However, as you'll be aware, I'm not going to do the whole combination plan here. I will do that off camera, so that I can get all of my cussing done without anyone listening, and safe in the knowledge that no one is judging my complete inability to follow instructions and make a complete hash of this transformation. So whilst I'm doing that off camera, do please feel free to drop a like for the video, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Otherwise, I'm just glad that you're here, and don't touch that dial. And here we have Omega Supreme, the myth, the legend, the epically large figure, finally fully transformed up. And I have to say, he is super impressive. I'm just going to sort of do a full sort of pan down so you get a full sense of what he actually looks like. I've got him standing on the bridge. I haven't got him plugged into the bridge, despite the fact that that strut is there. He's not plugged in. This is actually what he looks like, complete with blue bolts attached at the top. And I'll just give you another right down to the feet, because I'm going to sort of steady cam it for a second, so you can see all the legs and everything there. Right, I'm just going to get him up so we've got a nice shot of his from sort of at that point. Just bear with. Apologies for the jittery camera work there. And see if I can go a bit further. Maybe that'll do it. Yeah, hoping that'll work and I won't knock the camera over backwards, because I'm at quite an angle just to try and get the whole thing in. Well, I thought that might happen. So let's just try and see the best thing we can do with this. I'm going to have to probably go hands-free. So let's go not hands-free, handheld, quite the opposite of hands-free. So let's take a look up here at the head sculpt, which is, I'll zoom in a little bit further for that as well. The head sculpt is fantastic. You can see all the vac metal parts on that gleaming, the gold ear segments. Just as an FYI, one of the first things they asked you to do is open him up and put the ear segments in. I didn't do that. I waited until I was putting together the entire figure to do that, because I thought it was more appropriate to get the full experience. There's blue bolts sitting quite well tabbed in on the shoulders there. He says, having just untabbed them rather remarkably well. So much vac metal that it's brilliant to see now deployed across the chest there. The arms, of course, have this wonderful Autobot logo etched in there, if you can see that there, and there on the other arm as well. We have hand articulation in 2 points on the fingers, and we also have the thumb as well, which is very, very stiff. But all the other articulation, because the base figure underneath that is, well, obviously it's Optimus with parts of Ultra Magnus attached to it. But all of the core, as I'm going handheld, I can't really show you, but all of the core articulation remains intact. And it's beautifully done. It's beautifully, beautifully done. Let's move him back a bit and to there. And I'm going to just see if I can just do a bit more in terms of supporting the reverse of the camera. Not a huge amount, but that'll probably do it for now. And he is just amazing. And I'll see now if I can turn him around the entire way. Now I've got both my hands back. And you can see how everything wonderfully compresses down. We've got these little flaps here, but all of Optimus's joints are available. Everything tabs in so well. Some of the instructions you can't see now. Some of the instructions surrounding this part were not terribly clear, to me at least. So I don't think so I had a couple of false starts on that. So it took me probably about 15 minutes to do it for the first time. And also the connecting of the upper portion of Magnus to the body of Optimus also caused me a few hiccups, because again, I'm very, very conscious of the potential damage that could occur if I'm in any way, shape or form not careful with how I handle this figure. So I think I was possibly too careful. Now, we haven't really looked at this out of the box yet. Here it comes. It is the incredible sword, the Matrix sword. It's so massive, I don't even know if I can fit it in here. I can just fit it in here. And it's supposed to be something that should be able to tab in to his hand if I could fit it in here, but I actually can't physically fit it in here. So let me see if I can tab it in a different way to make it hold. It is, maybe I have to use both of his hands to do it. It's just so big. I mean, I know it's doable because I've seen people do it, so I know it's doable. Yeah, so there's arguably 3 tabs that need to align within his hand, and then that should facilitate him holding it. But yeah, it's the least of my worries, to be honest. I mean, I'm going to show you the blade. I mean, it's amazing, but it's not dissimilar to the one that came with the SDCC Fortress Maximus, apart from the coloration, and Till All Are One in Cybertronian there on the hilt. You do assemble some of it. It all can come apart, but you do have to assemble this section with the handle. Now it looks phenomenal, and you can't quite see it, but it's not truly metallic, but there is a nice metallic sheen to the purple elements of this. But yeah, nice silver and black otherwise. But you can, this is me holding it, so it's like an oversized dagger if I was holding it, you know. So it's the fact that we want this guy to somehow hold it in his hand triumphantly is bonkers. What I will say is, again, the design really is immense in terms of how it makes sure the weight is distributed. So even though he's got massive Magnus boots on, they do have, you know, all the heels are there, the stability is there, and of course you've got the stability and the robustness of that extended sort of groin area on Optimus, and those super tight ridges, ratchets, sorry, that really support the weight. And similarly, there's some lovely use of the tabs and Magnus's arms that provide, again, some additional really effective, I would argue, support for the upper portion of the body. So a lot of the things that I've heard people talk about being who've sort of owned the original versions of this set and this figure have talked about how fragile, awesome looking, but how fragile actually in hand the figure really is. And so when I dare to pick him up and give him a shake, and I'll pull out a bit more so you can see me giving him a shake, nothing is falling off, nothing is loose, you know. This is a very robust figure. It's a very robust figure, giving us some very, very exceptionally strong dynamic posing, and I am very here for this. I am very here for this, because I'll be honest, I didn't know what to expect. As I say, I'd heard lots of chitter chatter about how the original was flawed, and I don't think they could have done anything differently to make this as robust and as sturdy a figure as they have done. And I think that in and of itself is an achievement. We do know that the fire truck segment that I showed you earlier is supposed to combine into some sort of super mode, but I don't know what that is yet. I had hoped by the time I got around to recording this that Evan and co from Hasbro would have posted the necessary video. That hasn't happened, so I'm really hoping that comes to light soon. When it does, I'll of course come back and show you that extra bit and give you an opinion on how effectively it works. But it really is a phenomenal piece, and I'm really glad that I invested in it. Again, here's I've pulled out sufficiently now, I think, so you can, it's too big to fit in this review station, and because he's so mammoth, I'm not too sure how I'm gonna manage the video, the photos at the end of it. I'll have a think about that ahead of putting them in. But yeah, I have to say, fantastic figure. I've loved all the component parts, have been brilliant, and I've loved engaging with them, and I really am looking forwards to seeing, you know, how I can engage with this for some photography. Everything is really sturdy, and I don't know whether it's because it's still new and it's the first time I've combined him, but it just feels, I don't feel in any way, shape or form like he's going to fall over. That's of course very famous last words. I just feel that he's a very sturdy bot. Everything seems to have tabbed in wonderfully well in various different places, holding itself together, supporting itself weight wise. It works really well to my mind. And of course you have the wonderful blue bolts there on the top, giving the sort of the literally crowning element of this. So it shows all three robots integrate together to create the ultimate Omega Prime version of this figure. So, you know, fab. I'm super pleased with it and how it's come out. So, and again, very aware that I'm blessed that mine hasn't had any significant plastic malfunctions, but this form, absolutely amazing. So let me know in the comments down below, does this do your original figures justice? Do you think it is a great upgrade? Were you touched by, you know, the curse of this particular Haslab? Have you had it sorted for you by Hasbro? Give me the lowdown on your experiences with this figure. I'd love to hear them. Mine have been very positive, I have to say, and I am very conscious that isn't everybody's experience. But this figure is just really wonderful to mess with. I cannot find the words to express it in its entirety, if I'm brutally honest. I really can't. But anyway, thank you for joining me on this journey looking at Omega Prime. Thank you for looking at all of the Haslabs. I'm now in a point where I have no more Haslabs to show at this point in time, depending when you're watching this video. But here, as we come to the midpoint in July, no, we're not in the midpoint in July anymore, are we? What year is it? No, we've now come to August. Of course we have. Yeah, my schedule got a bit knocked out. But we're now at the beginning of August, and whilst I have no more Transformers Haslabs to show you, I am anticipating another Haslab arriving quite soon. It's not Transformers, but it is something else, and it is something that I am looking forward to exploring with you in the fullness of time. In the meantime, thank you so much for spending all of your time. There's lots of time in this sentence. All of your time with me looking at this video this evening. It's been an absolute joy to put together and to maneuver and do the rest of it with. I hope you've enjoyed it. I very much look forward to seeing you in a future video, and of course feel free to check me out in a past video as well. I've been the Triple TC, that's the Time Travelling Toy Collector, and this has been Omega Prime, finally in his full Omega Prime form, merging together Ultra Magnus, Optimus Prime, and of course Blue Bolts to give us this ultimate Haslab Omega level threat, Omega Prime. Take care, and I look very much forward to seeing you in the future. Bye bye for now.